Stop chasing scores, master concepts. If you master the concepts, the LSAT score will come as a result. A lot of people focus on their practice test scores, taking test after test, burning valuable practice material. There are a limited number of practice tests, and if you burn through them, you're wasting your time and you're sabotaging your future success. If you instead slow down, you build that foundation first, you master the concepts on the LSAT, the score will come as a result. I see far too many students skipping that foundation, not learning the question types, not learning the strategies, and just obsessively tracking their results in spreadsheets and charts and tables. And as a result, they're getting discouraged. And I understand why. I did the same exact thing back when I was studying for the LSAT. My first cold diagnostic was a 152, and my subsequent practice test scores didn't go much better. It took me an entire excruciating year of beating my head against the wall before I got my 175 on LSAT test day. And if I could go back in time 20 years or so and talk to my younger self, I would tell my younger self the exact same thing. Stop chasing the scores. Master the concepts first. The good news is, if you're taking the LSAT going forward, you don't have to study logic games. There is actually less material for you to study going forward. Because LSAT has removed the logic game section and replaced it with the second scored logical reasoning section, 1/3 of that foundation no longer applies. You will be able to get to the practice test sooner than I could have because you don't need to study logic games. You can double down, focus on logical reasoning. There are roughly 15 different types of logical reasoning questions, but not all 15 of those are equally important. In other words, some are more important than others because some are more common than others. The three biggest types of logical reasoning questions for you to focus on are necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. Those are the three most common types of logical reasoning questions. If you nail those, you've nailed the plurality at least of this section, and the other types will come that much easier. You can move on to strengthen and weaken and get to parallel reasoning later. I know everyone hates parallel reasoning, but it really isn't that common. If you can get crystal clear on, for example, the important distinctions between necessary assumption and sufficient assumption, you'll be dealing with one of the biggest pieces of low-hanging fruit I see students struggling to master. You get that down, you're well on your way to mastering the logical reasoning section. If you just keep scaling those wins, you keep getting those key insights from your review process. And by the way, you don't want to neglect the review process in your studying. You'll build that foundation, you'll do your timed sections to work on your pacing, you'll take your full-length practice tests, and then you're going to want to review your mistakes. This is part of mastering the concepts, because when you get every question wrong, you have to remember that every question you get wrong or have difficulty with is an opportunity to learn something new. If you don't take advantage of that opportunity and you instead just go on to the next practice test chasing that score, you haven't learned the lesson of the past. And if you don't learn that lesson, you are, of course, doomed to repeat it again, because the LSAT is a test of pattern recognition. If you just keep taking test after test without reviewing, you're going to keep making the same mistakes again and again and again, and you will see your scores plateau. You will see them go down in some cases due to burnout, and there's nothing worse than that. I know. I've experienced it personally. I see students experience it all the time as well because they skip this key step of the process. I've developed a framework for review called the Socratic review method. It's a cornerstone of my LSAT courses and one-on-one coaching programs. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below this video to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out on your journey to scoring a 170 or above on your official LSAT test date. Now, the idea behind the Socratic review method is to help you systematically look at every single element of the question that you got wrong or had difficulty with. In logical reasoning, for example, it may have been in the stimulus, it may have been in the question stem, it may have been in the answer choices. I see a lot of students looking at their analytics, assuming it's all about question stem type, when in reality, for a lot of higher scorers, those who are scoring, say, 160, 165 or above, their mistakes are actually not about the question stem type, but rather they are about failing to understand something key in the method of reasoning in the stimulus. This is a key concept you don't want to ignore. If you are not clear on conditional reasoning or causal reasoning, if you do not understand correlation causation arguments or the potential flaws inherent in the design of a lot of studies and surveys, you may continuously make mistakes in these types of questions, whether it's strengthen or weaken or resolve the paradox or flaw or necessary assumption, because of course you didn't understand the concept in the stimulus. So make sure you analyze this in depth. Maybe it could be about something in the answer choices, attempting wrong answer and unappealing right answer. You want to figure out what was tempting about the wrong answer that made you pick it and what ultimately makes it wrong. What was discouraging or unappealing about the right answer choice and what ultimately makes it correct. Engage in this review process and you're bound to see some big wins coming up. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.